Hello, my name is Michael, and this is my first video that I've ever made, first video on my brand new YouTube channel. But I felt that it was important to make it, and hopefully whoever sees this, whoever it may be, will also find it worthwhile. I just wanted to kind of put this out there kind of as a testimony, but really just my life story. It's my life and what I've been through and what I've experienced and how it's made me who I am today and why I am the way that I am today. Just a very brief background. I'm not going to go into my complete life history, not at this time, of course. But, I was pre-2011, I was just a regular guy. I have my own business, and I work, and I loved sports. I was a big football and basketball fan that consumed a lot of my life. I was into worldly things for sure: women, alcohol, fun, sporting events, good times. Nothing really to the excess in any category, maybe at times here and there, and I definitely did indulge in a lot of things, and so on, but probably nothing more than everybody else, or not everybody else, but a lot of people. So I was not really a Christian. Well, I definitely wasn't a Christian. I wasn't a godly person in any way that I would say. And just realized that my headphones were plugged in. So, something happened in 2011. I'm just kind of going to fast forward to that point. And I'm not going to even go into all the detail regarding the situation or the circumstance that it happened in. Because, yes, it's very important. But for brevity's sake, I'm just going to, get to the point. So, I consider myself to be an atheist, definitely agnostic. Didn't really have God in my life, didn't think about God, questioned, but didn't have any answers, didn't have anyone or anywhere to go for answers. So it just wasn't important to me. It just didn't really exist in my life. And then one day I was driving home with my girlfriend at the time from her hometown, and it was a sunny Sunday afternoon, September 4th, 2011. I was driving, she was in the passenger seat asleep, and I was listening to an audiobook, which, just for full disclosure, was called The Secret. And she had forced me to listen to it, actually, because I didn't want to. And I did everything I could to put it off. And so I'm driving home, probably halfway to my home, after maybe an hour, hour and a half of driving. And beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon. And all of a sudden, something just comes over me that I've never experienced, and I can't really put into words. It just was the only thing that I can say, it was an overwhelming, enveloping experience and feeling of warmth and love, and just, I don't even know how you put the word love into a feeling, as far as, expressing it. So tears just started flowing from my eyes, and it was intense, powerful, and I was driving, I had my hands on the steering wheel, but, at some point they just kind of went palms up, and I'm just saying, it's so beautiful, and that's all I can say. And my girlfriend at the time eventually woke up, and she looks at me, and she sees me crying, and, she didn't know what was going on, and I couldn't express it to her other than to say, it's so beautiful, and I'm looking at her, and I just have tears flowing to my face while I'm driving. And so I don't know how I made it home, but we made it home, and I was just, the word that I can use, I was in bliss. I was blissed out. I was just overwhelmed and euphoric and all these things. And I had been drinking the night before, but I wasn't drinking that day and nothing else. And so, it just came over me. And so, this experience actually lasted 4 days, changed my life, changed really everything about me. I would say the biggest thing at the time was that it gave me spiritual awareness, first of all. It gave me awareness that there was a higher power, a creator. And at that time, I was kind of anti-Christian. I'm ashamed to say it, but I was. I just was turned off to Christianity for whatever reason. And so, I didn't equate it with the Holy Spirit or Jesus Christ or anything like that. I just experienced it as God. And I argued that point, that it didn't come with a name. It didn't come with a religion. It didn't come with directions or instructions. It just came and overwhelmed me and just left me a pile of tears. So anyway, so this led me on a path to seeking this experience more, wanting it more and more. And I became interested in a lot of things that I was never interested before. And it also disinterested me from a lot of things that I was interested in before. I no longer had an interest or cared about sports, going to sporting events, which anybody that knows me knows that if my football team or basketball team was playing, you didn't call me. If I was at home watching the game, you didn't call me, you didn't come over, because I was just that person that was so intense into the game. And if my team would lose, it would, it could ruin my week, actually. And then, so I just tell you that just so you have some sort of background on who I was and what it meant to me. And then I just gave it up. And I actually had club seats in the stadium downtown, and I had very good NBA seats, very close to the floor. So, I was invested, and then I just didn't care about it anymore. I saw it as a waste of time and a waste of money and a distraction from life. And so, anyway, many things changed about me, and I started, the best I could. I didn't know how to meditate, but I started meditating. I started just doing things, and this whole time, like over the next several months, from September through especially November, I definitely had a lot more powerful experiences, and I would say lessons. I learned a tremendous amount on November 3rd, 2011. I learned the true meaning of, at least for me, I learned the true meaning of forgiveness. And I meant to do this at the beginning, but, just kind of forgot. Everything that I say here, I say with love. I have many people in my life everybody that's in my life, I love them. And truth is, I love all of my brothers and sisters on this earth. I don't care who you are or what you've done. I see us all as God's children. I do pray that those who have done terrible things repent and change their ways and find God and come to Christ, because I care about everyone so deeply and their souls and their salvation. And I hold no ill will towards anyone. I don't care who you are or what you've said to me. I don't care if you know me very well, if you kind of know me, if you know of me, if you don't know me, if you like me, if you don't like me, if you love me, if you hate me, if you are irritated by me, I don't care. I still love you, and I would do anything for you. And I mean that because that's what we're told to do. We're told to love our brothers and sisters. Jesus' disciple asked, Lord, what is the thing that I can do? What is the top commandment that I can do to get into heaven? And the first thing is to love your God with all your love, heart, your soul, your mind, and your energy. And the second thing, Lord, what's the second thing? Is to love your brothers and you love your neighbor as I have loved you. And so I do try to embody that, and I do try to live that. And I want that for everyone. And so, I make this video only to tell my experience. It's not to It's not for any other purpose. It's not to accuse anyone, to anything. I'm just telling my story. And you'll see that when I get to the end that there's a point why I say these things, because who I am today, just like all of us, who you are today is because of everything that you've learned throughout your life, your environment, the people that you've been around, your studies, what you've learned along the way, what you've experienced along the way. It's made you who you are today, and it's made me who I am today. And so, that's the only reason that they say this, is because I don't want anybody who sees this to think that I'm saying anything other than my story. I'm just telling you from my experience. You may like it, you may not like it. I can't help it. This is my story. Just like you have a story, this is my story. And I feel like God's been putting it on my heart to write a book. But in talking with some good friends and some people who have written books, it's not necessarily an easy thing, and it takes a long time. And why not just use social media to get it out there? Whether anybody sees this or not, I don't know. But so anyway, getting back to where I was, I had some powerful experiences with forgiveness and the true meaning of forgiveness and what it meant, and how I had to truly forgive myself before I could forgive anyone else. And that is, definitely a hard thing, and it's still a hard thing. But you try to do it every day and accept yourself for who you are and just try to get better. Anyway, I'm not trying to give a lesson. I'm just saying from my own experience. So this led me to go to Peru. My then girlfriend at the time, we went to Peru, and we spent a couple of weeks in the Amazon working with shaman, working with plant medicines to reach higher states of consciousness, so to speak. Excuse me. And then we spent 2 weeks in the Andes, and many things happened. I had many experiences, and there were just experiences along the way, powerful. And we ended up, my girlfriend and I, girlfriend at the time, ended up getting married in the Andes. Didn't plan it, just many things led up to that, and it was just a magical, beautiful story. And we got married at a place called Heaven's Gate on July 2nd, 2012. Heaven's Gate was the English term for it. I don't know the Spanish term. It was just about 9,000 feet up in the Andes, and it was beautiful, beautiful bluish-green lagoon surrounded by mountains on a fault line. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And we got married at sunset, and then a full moon came up over the mountains. Pretty magnificent. So, and I have pictures of all this. So everything that I say, I can back up with pictures, video. People who know me can verify all this. So then, progressing, I went to, when I got back, things happened, and I wasn't satisfied with my professional life because I felt it was a conflict with my spiritual life. And over this time, let me back up a bit. Over this time, I will say that this experience and then the subsequent experiences gave me spiritual awareness and spiritual discernment, which I never had in my life before. In 38 years of living, I never had spiritual awareness, that I can speak of, or any spiritual discernment. But now that this experience happened, these things just flooded in to my life and to my experience. So I got back, and things happened, and I wasn't satisfied with business life, and I wanted to get out of it, and I did over time. And then I kind of fell into, I don't want to say I didn't fall into a depression, but I fell into a funk for sure, because I felt like I was at a plateau with my spiritual growth and development. And, along the way, trying to explain this to people, what you're experiencing is not easy. And not only that, but you lose people. Anybody who's been through this knows you lose people in your life that just aren't there, that are where and I'm not trying to make it sound like it's higher than, lower than, better than. I'm not trying to make it sound like that. It's just different. You have a totally different perception of the world when you are in and of the world. When you're born, you are essentially you're a creation of your parents, your environment, your education, all these things that I talked about before. So you are molded into that person, and that's just how you know and experience life and how you know and experience the world. And so I was definitely that person. And then after my experience and after all these other experiences, you become a different person in, pretty much every way. So I can't blame anybody in my life that looks at me differently or, doesn't want to be around me or doesn't want to talk to me. I totally get it because it's like an invasion of the body snatchers. So, you start to associate with different people. You, so to speak, resonate with different types of people better than you previously did. And so anyway, I felt like I was at a plateau, and I happened to see one day when I was in a coffee shop with my then wife, well, still my wife, but my wife at that time, because we had been married by then. I saw an ad in this local publication in a coffee shop for a person, an Eastern mystic that was coming through town to give a talk. And I told her, I said, I want to go listen to what he has to say. I had no familiarity with Eastern mysticism, yoga, nothing. But I looked at it, and for some reason there was a connection and with his picture, and I wanted to go see him. So I had no idea who he was. And I got there, and there were tons of people there. I was in a Unitarian church, and there were just tons of people there, and we were able to get like seats that are, fairly close to the front. And, I just listened to him intently. He spoke for 3 hours, and so I listened to him intently, and it just resonated. It just it's like he was talking to me. And so, he then gave an offer to people to go down to the ashram in Tennessee, which I did. And I was initiated into a certain yogic practice called Shambhavi Mahamudra. And, so I did that. And that was just for like 2 or 3 days. And then I came back, and then I kind of, I was doing the practice, but then I just kind of, got back into a funk. And my wife was kind of telling me that I probably needed to go away somewhere, and she recommended an ashram. And so coincidentally, not too long after that, I received an email from this organization, and they invited me to come to India for a yoga teacher's training program. Well, I had no interest in being a yoga teacher. But when I read the curriculum and what was to be learned and all these things that were to be done, then, it was very powerful to me, because I felt that it was exactly what I was looking for, because it talked about being able to reach higher states of consciousness and to come to levels of health that are optimal for the human, and so many other things, biology, anatomy, not biology, anyway, how the body functions. So it was very, it was a very in-depth course. It was 5 months, and it ended up being basically about 7 hours of yoga, 7 days a week for 21 weeks. And then it wasn't just that, it was many other things. It was like 17, 18-hour days, and up at 4 a.m. and in bed at 10, 10:30, 11, and then you're back up at 4, 7 days a week. So it was very intense, and it was good though. But see, the reason that I wanted to go was not to become a yoga teacher. It was to get a closer relationship with God and get to be able to, I hate to say it, but to be able to manufacture these experiences within myself. And that's not probably the right term, because I'm not the one that's manufacturing it. I can, create the conditions, put myself in the proper state to be receptive to these types of experiences. And so, that's what I was going for. And so anyway, I did that. And then I spent a month in Thailand going to different wats and meditating in Buddhist temples and all these things. And then I got back My wife actually met me in Thailand, and we spent a month there together, and then we got back, and then ended up turning my basement into a yogic space. I had an amazingly talented, beautiful artist friend of ours who was so kind and generous to paint a, a mural that I gave her a vision, and she just took it to a whole new level. And she put in her time and effort and painted this for me. And it was a peaceful, beautiful space, and I taught some people down there. But I would spend hours meditating. There were times that I would meditate for 5 or 6 hours straight, without moving, and I would have tears flowing down my face and just blissed out, and just many powerful experiences. And it's I just can't even, I don't know, I just can't even put it into words, all the experiences that I had, but a lot of them were profound, Now, I don't know, necessarily what they were, or how it happened, or how it came, or I'm just a lowly human. And so, anyway, but when you, one of the things that I want to hit on is really that after you have become this new person, now I'm, 3-4 years into this experience and being a new creation, so to speak. And so I, people fall out of your life. People come into your life. People become combative with you, just with the things that you say or what you've come to know or come to experience. And so, when a person is a creation in and of this world, they're one way. But when they are a creation in, well, I'll say now, because I'm a Christian now, and I absolutely consider myself to be a disciple of Christ, that now incoming phone call. Now, then other people, they think you're kind of crazy. And you are. You are, because it's like Jesus said, I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. And anybody who's been bathed in the Holy Spirit, you're not of this world anymore. And this world is so foreign to you, and you don't resonate with anything in and of this world. I like to say that I choose and I tend to dwell in the spiritual realms. And when I do, I just see this world differently. And I see my brothers and sisters differently. And so, anyway, I was what I was considered, I would consider myself a yogi. At that point, I was a yogi, and I was into a lot of the New Age stuff, but I didn't consider it to be New Age or anything like that because I didn't even know what that meant. I was not raised with that. I was not created in that. But, when you're in that world, you're in the New Age world. Well, I was blinded to that fact, and so I defended that I wasn't. And so then, to fast forward a bit, and I may do, if there's interest in this video, I may do more, because there's a lot more details that I could go into. I mean, I'm just like skimming the surface, barely. But my wife had actually started, she had a dream that brought her, that started leading her back to Christ. And that caused a lot of friction with us in our house and a strife. And because as a yogi, you control your own experience, you control your environment, you control your own life. And, life is your creation, so to speak. And I saw religion, and specifically Christianity, as a, for lack of a better term, I saw it as a cult. Cult, weak-minded people, followers, which is true, they're followers of Christ. But at that time, I didn't see it as a good thing. So it caused a lot of strife within our house, to the extent that we agreed to get divorced one night. And my wife and I were very good together. We love each other, and this was, this was very tense, and, so I'm going to pause this video right here because my wife is getting ready to walk in the door, and I'll do a part 2. Thank you.